All right, folks, welcome back to Positive Mischief. Today we have Nelly Sarkissian from Bally Sports. She's an art director. Nelly, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Simple.
Just like that, simple. So Nelly, you are, like I said, an art director of Bally Sports. And the first question we have here on this show, which is essentially talking to creative people, asking them questions that hopefully they're going to answer creatively. So we're going to see how well you do with this.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I know, right? So you claim to be an art director, claim to be a creative person. We're gonna see how well this plays out. So first question for you, Nelly, is if you had to describe your job to a 6-year-old, how would you describe your job?
This is a tough one for a 6-year-old.
Uh-huh.
You see that commercial of the hamburger? I made that.
See, that actually is really nice and simple and to the point. Because I think they understand those things. Although I think a lot of kids now wouldn't know what commercials are with all the streaming and everything. The skipping of the ads, like
totally that skip button.
Yeah, last night my daughter was like, she was in the bath and she had music going on the iPad, and I kind of turned it away. I was like, "You're not watching it. If you want music, you can listen to music." So one of the next songs came on. She's like, "Daddy!" I was like, "Yeah." She goes, "Can you hit the skip button for me?" I was like, "Oh, right, yeah." It's like skipping the ad. She could hear it. So they don't want those ads. They don't want those commercials.
I know.
All right. But it is pretty funny to be able to put it in that simple, because I do think they understand the idea of content. They may not call it that, but that thing on TV, you made that. I get that. That's cool. I like that.
You're not going to tell them, that skip button that you skip all the time. I worked on that because it's so minimal and it doesn't touch the stomach. It doesn't, so you gotta bring that part, like food and excitement.
Do you ever think, like, when you're working on things like lower thirds or bugs and things like that, and people ask, what do you do? Like, oh, we see that down there. Like, I did that. Like, wait,
all the time.
That little thing right there,
that little ticker that I've been fighting all my life to get rid of.
Yeah. Yeah. So when people do that, like, how do you try to explain that, walk them through that, like the process that goes into something? Because there is a process.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the great news with Bally Sports, our VP wanted to eliminate ticker, which was something like I was always fighting at Tribune. Like, can we just, like, that hide when there's no info, like remove the ticker? I was always fighting it. And then when I came to Bally Sports, I was so relieved because he just wanted the ticker to be small and half the screen. And most of the time, if there's no information, just get rid of it, So I felt like, oh, finally someone, understands my pain of ticker.
Yeah. You hear that, folks? Get rid of the ticker.
The ticker. And if you think you're going to have a ticker that makes your news look more legit, no. Think outside the box, or stay in the box, but think differently.
Well, it's funny that you say that, because we talked about this before we started recording, was the CNN news about the breaking news and getting rid of it.
Oh, yeah.
So do you think that there's something to trying to remain legit, trying to gain people's attention rather than just kind of letting the content speak for itself?
I think everything has a cycle, and I guess, it's the end of this cycle of breaking news. But I think we got to a point where we don't care anymore about the breaking news when it says breaking. So we have to figure out a different language to create attention, the audience, grab the audience attention. And so that, because breaking news, the purpose of doing breaking news is for people, the viewers, to care about the news and, how does that affect their daily life or whatnot. If there's always breaking news, we're not going to care. So we're at a point where we understand that we don't care about breaking news. A repetitive breaking. So maybe break it when it's really a breaking news, not just, I think I posted I was at the office the other day, and I saw on somebody's desk says breaking news, 3 dots, I don't care. I took a picture of that and I posted and I said, CNN CEO has changed. So, with that photo, and I said, I think we're going to see less breaking news.
Yeah, I think so.
For
a time they did developing story, and that was like the intermediate kind of thing.
In between, yeah.
Yeah, the in between,
I guess we can also tap into the color red, how people love the color red. I've been in so many situations where if it was a little important, make that red.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, but don't make it breaking news, but put the red. Yeah, it's like, almost there.
It's like we're all bulls and we're going to see. Oh, there's red. I want it.
We're talking about how we can talk. We're really talking about how visual designers think visual can bring in breaking news or make something more, important sound or look more important on TV. So I don't know if we can find, maybe we can find some different color to talk about breaking news. I don't know. Put purple.
Purple. There we go.
Put purple. Yeah. Put purple for breaking news.
I love it. Okay. So speaking of breaking the mold and being different, the show is called Positive Mischief. Yes. And so for Hugo, what we like to do is we want to have fun. It's essentially what it's about, is have fun doing what you're doing, and the mischief part of it as well, and so when it comes to you as a designer, as an art director, as a creative, what does something look like to be mischievous in a positive way? How does that play into your daily work life or with, people who work under you?
I've learned, I've been taught to, that's why I like this podcast, is because, you talk about, having fun in a positive way, because sometimes you think, if you ask people to have fun during their job, it's like, oh, you're now lazy or anything. That's what I tell the designers. I said, look, if you're not having fun, you got to assess the situation.
Yeah.
But how I like to tackle it personally, I always like to connect with, industry creatives and get a conversation going with a creative person, because maybe you're working on a lower third, but something funny might come out, I don't know. For instance, just to have fun a little bit, Bally Sports. If you know the logo, it's a cursive. It's so cute. It's been used in the Bally Fitness, Bally Hotel, Bally this. So we have internally, kind of redesigned all our names with the same font. So, just to keep it fun, how do you see your name with that cursive? And like, I have a Nelly looking like Bally Sports logo.
Yeah.
And we have Billy, my coworkers, we have Billy, we have so many, like Steve, and like we write our names the way Bally Sports logo is written.
That's cool.
And so, and we're in sports, sneakers, big fan of sneakers. So, one time I downloaded a 3D template and I said, look, here's the flat, UV map, put it in Photoshop and, color it, put, like on a Nike, all template, 3D template of a sneaker. And I said, just color it. Let's have fun. Let's see what comes out of this and things. But, not to, go in a tangent, but working from home. Comes in it's a big thing. It's a big leap for every creative, and it's been very challenging because creativity is like yawning. It's contagious.
I love that. But you're right.
It's the opposite of yawning, which is not boring, but it is contagious in a way, because you start. I remember being at CNN together, and I was, like I said earlier, like I used to come, sneak behind you. I'm going to see what Matt's doing, and get inspired because, you're still, you're my senior and I didn't have all the tools and I didn't know the 3D tools back then. And I wanted to learn. And the best way I learned, in this industry is over the shoulder,
Yeah.
And I feel like the junior designers is missing on that. And creativity is not something you can't tell someone, go be creative. Creativity has a lot to do with applying yourself. Mm-hmm. So either it's a tool. And I remember in our studio, we had a big round table. Yep. And we would sit around it and, even if it's like an origami plane, we used to have fun, throwing it at each other and things like that.
Yeah.
We had good times, fun times in the office. And I think a lot of people are missing that.
Yeah, I do too.
Specifically the newcomers in the TV entertainment industry, so they don't know any of it.
Yeah.
Tossing balls at each other and the sponge, the sponge little balls and, the basketball little hoops, things like that, the jokes and all of that. And, you can you're pretty limited on FaceTimes, and that's why creativity and being in the office, physically in the office, they go hand in hand. In terms of inspiring, there's a lot of the times we've been going out and meeting one-on-ones, coffee breaks, find the creative person to have a creative conversation. And sometimes creativity stems out of you have an issue on air and, you want to solve it and creativity starts pumping it. Did you see that on ESPN? Did you see that on, TNT coverage? And you start thinking and your wheels are spinning now, which is great. Yeah. And then eventually you tell people to watch the network, because everybody's on streaming and the live is, is suffering a little bit.
Well, and sports is always good for that. I think, because it is live, you have to catch it when it happens, watching sports after the fact is not quite as good. It's one thing to watch the highlights, but trying to catch the game after it's already been over. Yeah. I kind of lose my mojo on that.
Yeah.
But I think live sports is going to be important for TV. And as it moves to streaming, Amazon and YouTube and things like that, it's going to be very interesting. But I still think it's going to be appointment viewing. And that's a really big part of that too. So
totally.
I love the idea of what you talked about. And I feel like this gets overlooked. We talk about collaborative creativity in terms of getting things done, being efficient, getting the best product. But you mentioned something about the younger group learning. My internship, I learned so much from being right next to people. I was, Lucas Aragon and Richard Vitegas, like those two guys at Nat Geo, like learned so much in that one summer, more than my entire college career.
Totally.
I wouldn't have been able to do that had I been stuck at home working remote and they had been at their homes. So there has to be something has to give in some way to be able to let people grow and to build and foster those creative communities in the office.
Oh yeah. I mean, and maybe it's also, we don't understand the new generation because they like to create in their own little bubble. And then now the bubble is called the verse. So, it's the metaverse, it's the multiverse, it's my verse, so they have a different understanding. So I think it's going to be an exchange when it comes in the collaborative zone. I think it's going to be an exchange knowledge because they're also experiencing something we're not aware of. Mm-hmm. And so, look at all the NFTs. These guys are like 20 years old doing the Mona Lisa of the future. So we don't know what that Mona Lisa looks like yet. So we're trying to, we're still holding on to the Renaissance while they're creating their own new Renaissance. So I feel like it's going to be, there's a an interesting, healthy bridge between the two generations.
Sure.
And I don't feel like I'm that old to even speak like this, but I do feel there is something new. There's a new wave of creating. And, if you get into those, verses or websites, NFTs, OpenSeas, and, something trending on LinkedIn right now, Mid-Journey, AI, sophisticated AI, creations coming out. You're really sitting and wondering, how is this all working and where do I fit in there? How do I
gonna go?
Yeah, So it's all up in the air, and I think we're discovering things. But I think what I would suggest for companies is to invite those creatives and don't have expectations to function like the classic employee, but give them room because they're a little different. And their motivations and priorities are different. So you have to understand that aspect, and you just, we just have to be patient with them, so I'm meeting a lot of those kids, and they're very interesting, and they have sophisticated way of thinking, which, we think we're sophisticated, but, they also have a different approach to things. And it's very encouraging to see a generation that thinks differently. And that's really fresh, because they keep you on your toes. They're like, what? What did you just think about that there? So it's pretty interesting, it's going to be fun. They're talking about fun. That's fun, exploring something that you've never seen and it's unknown. Mm-hmm. And that keeps it fun. That's very, that's like if you have a new designer in your team that is, you give them a chance. They just graduated from college. They're, they're very decisive. They're quick in whether or not they like that or not. They tell you immediately. They speak up quickly, while you were always like, oh, let me not tell this to my manager. He's having kind of a rough day. No, they're really quick, right? They're transparent, and I appreciate that.
It does help to move things along.
Don't procrastinate. Just spit it out.
I love that.